How would you like to launch your course to a small email list of just a few hundred people and make 6 figures worth of course sales? My guest today has done just that. He only got started with his course a few months ago and has already found an incredible amount of success. Stay tuned to find out exactly how he did it. I'm Jacques Hopkins, and over the past 11 years, I've built a profitable online course business teaching piano that's generated over $4 million. And now I'm sharing the lessons I've learned along the way so you can scale your course too. Let me introduce you to Dean Booty. He runs self-storage facilities in the UK, and he started creating content a couple of years ago. First, it was just a podcast where he documented his journey of starting and running these self-storage facilities. And over time, he built a small but engaged audience and then launched his course. His first launch brought in over 70,000 pounds. And just a few months later, his second launch brought in another 40,000 pounds. And now he's preparing for his third launch and then planning to move things over to Evergreen. Dean's story is proof that even with a small audience, you can achieve massive results. He built his audience by documenting what he was already doing, starting with a podcast and then adding an email newsletter. He's also operating in a small niche, which, as you'll hear, is one of the reasons for his success. Now, full disclosure, Dean is a member of my coaching program. He joined my beginner program, Genesis Courses, back in February, and has since moved up to next level coaching now that his course business is consistently making sales. Dean trusted the process. He worked hard, but he also has done a good job at balancing his business and personal life as well. So whether you're just getting started or you're looking to scale, you're going to find a lot of value in Dean's story. Without further ado, here's the full conversation between myself and Dean. Dean Booty, welcome to the Online Course Show.
Thank you very much for having me, Jacques. Thank you very much.
It's an honor and a pleasure, man. So for the sake of the audience, what do you do? Who do you help?
So I've got a self-storage podcast. I did a self-storage podcast for about 5 or 6 years now, and I just wanted to document my journey because there was nothing like it in the UK. At the time, I had 2 sites, and I was really, really interested in self-storage and just being a better operator. So I thought, do you know what? There's only one way of doing this, and that is interviewing people who have been there and done it and got bigger success than me. So I started the podcast just really to learn about other operators and what they was doing. And as time went on, I documented my process for self-storage. I got 2, 3, 4, 5 different sites. We've got 6 now, and we're soon to be opening our 7th. And I just got loads and loads of questions about self-storage. And me and you have been in similar masterminds, and I always listen to your podcast, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to become a member and just see if I can create a course about how to open a self-storage, because it was the same question I was getting all the time. So I created a course, and here we are now. It's been great.
What guy? I mean, you said you're just really interested in self-storage. Like, why is that? What's so interesting about self-storage? I'm not saying it's not. I'm just ignorant on the topic. Like, what do you like about it?
No, I fell upon it. So I had a betting shop where you're betting horses in the UK. It's quite popular, and I realized that it was all going online, and I thought, right, I need to do something else. So I put it up for sale, and luckily a big national company bought it because it was quite a profitable business. And I went on honeymoon to America in 2012, and all I kept seeing was these self-storage facilities. As it happened, I got time to look out the window when we was driving because I forgot my driving license, which meant the wife had to drive me all around America. I was traveling around America for 4 weeks. And I just kept playing Tiger Woods golf and seeing these self-storage facilities. And I was like, oh my goodness, self-storage. I just Googled self-storage in Beverly, where I live, and there was no self-storage. So that was almost the end of the honeymoon. I was literally looking up, because I didn't have a job at this time, because I sold out for £345,000 for maybe $450,000. And I was only in my 20s, and I didn't know what else to do the rest of my life. And I just thought, self-storage, that sounds good. And just Googled it, found the premises. And that was in the June, and I opened my self-storage in the December of that year, 2012. So it was really, really quick, and I came across it just purely because I forgot my driving license in America, and I could see them pop up everywhere. Every corner seemed to be self-storage. But America, it's so far ahead of England with self-storage. It's like 10 years ahead. So all we've got to do is literally look at what the Americans are doing and then just implement it in the UK, and you're almost successful.
That's amazing. Okay, so a few years after that, you're into self-storage, and you decide to start a podcast, you said specifically documenting your process of setting up these self-storage units and businesses, as well as interviewing others that have done the same. It's honestly, it sounds very similar to, my motivation for starting this podcast around online courses rather than self-storage. For you specifically, like, what was the true motivation behind the podcast? Did you intend to monetize that when you started it?
No, not really. There was two reasons. One, I just wanted to learn from the experts because I couldn't ever get the experts on the phone. So we both was in Pat Flynn's Power Up podcasting, and I thought, right, do you know what? That's perfect. I can get talking to people who know more than I do in the industry. Has got more. They understand it more. They've got more experience, and I thought that's one way because there was no self-storage podcast in the UK at that point. So, as JLD says, I was the best and I was the worst at podcasting for self-storage. But also I wanted to document the process. I've got 2 kids and I want to be really, really honest and open about everything I do. I want to tell you the good times. I want to tell you the bad times. I don't want to pretend that I'm something I'm not. So I thought, right, I'm going to talk about the good weeks, the bad weeks, and everything in between. And people seem to enjoy it in self-storage. And since then, I've been featured on the BBC in England. I've been in Vegas speaking. I've been around the world speaking about self-storage just purely because I started a podcast and just was really, really open and honest. As you'll tell during this interview, there's nothing polished about me at all. I get my grammar all wrong, and I also started a newsletter as well. So it was in 2023. I started February 2023. Started a daily self-storage newsletter. Again, it's the only one in the world, so it's the best in the West. And when I launched my course, I had just over 300 subscribers, and I was like, "This is surely too little an audience because it's very, very niche." And that was in March. So in a year, I'd gained 300 subscribers, which isn't in my mailing list, which is no way, shape, or form a lot. But for whatever reason, people bought my course, and there was I got 20% of my audience to buy the course, which was great.
You got 20% what?
Of my overall newsletter to buy my course. I think it was
conversion rate.
Yeah,
wow.
my open rate was in the 80% mark. And I just tell you everything. I tell you my revenue. I tell you how I go. Whatever you want to know in self-storage, I'm an open book. But it has cost me as well because that's the benefit of it. But there's also a negative where my landlord, because we lease a property, he tried to kick me off out the property because he listened to my podcast and realized how well you do with self-storage. And he tried to serve me notice, but luckily he couldn't. And so I've signed a 20-year lease with him, but he's opened up just around the corner. I was about to sign a lease in Scotland with somebody, and he listened to my podcast again because I'm stupidly open about the money you can make in self-storage. And he said, "Dean, I'll be honest with you. I know how to run a self-storage now because I've bought your course and I'm just going to do it myself." I'm like, "Oh no." So yeah, so there's definite benefits, but then there's the negatives as well. But the benefits as well, you'll get this all the time where somebody emails you. I got this 2 nights ago where it genuinely made my day, my week, where I said, "Dean, I've quit my job. I'm opening my self-storage. I bought your course and it's changed my life, and I can't wait to go down the self-storage journey," which is incredible.
Man, I have so many follow-up questions for you, Dean, on that.
Sorry, yeah. I'll just keep going.
Where can you make more money? Starting a self-storage business or selling courses about self-storage?
Definitely self-storage, yeah. To give you one example, so my Beverly site, my turnover is just over £200,000. My expenses are £30,000 with rent, rates, and a bit of not much electric at all. And so it's making £170,000 a year, and we spend 2 hours a week on it. Luckily, I've got a team now to do all this. I feel like my job, Jacques, is just to be in masterminds, educate myself, go to conferences, and be a better business owner. So therefore, I can help my team become better. Normally, your EBITDA to revenue is around about 63-64% to profit. So if you turn over $1 million, you should be making over 600,000. we're turning over around about 2.3 million now. So our profit is over $1 million, but the problem is with self-storage, I don't see all that because the expense, I've got to repay so many loans because it is a capital intensive business. So the idea of the course, which I genuinely didn't set up any of this thinking I'm going to create a course or anything. The idea of the course is that it funds my expansion now for self-storage. We've just opened in Scotland, in Glasgow, and it cost £100,000 to open. And luckily, as it happens, I think I've sold £107,000 worth of courses in 3 months. So I was like, brilliant. I can open another self-storage.
That's incredible. Yeah, you didn't hesitate much with that answer. You said the self-storage business, but you've done very well with the courses as well. And it's amazing that you're using the courses, the money you're making from the courses to then fund the original business and start up new self-storage facilities. You said you're working on your 7th right now.
Yeah, and also there's an exit plan as well with courses. I think I'm the face behind it, so I would probably struggle to. Well, maybe I can solve this in some way, shape, or form in the future. But I'm the face of the course. We do have other people who contribute, but I'm the face of it, so therefore I don't have an exit as such. Where in self-storage, I will get a 10 times multiple, and so the idea is we go as fast because it's like in England, there's a real big opportunity for self-storage. So I'll just give you a real quick maths. Self-storage in America is between 6 square foot or 9 square foot per capita per person in America. In the UK, it's under 1. So we can expand like 9, 10 times and still not reach the levels in America. The Australian market is 4 times square foot per capita. So again, we can expand 4 times. And so in life, I don't think you get these opportunities very much. You can almost open a self-storage anywhere in the UK at the minute and make it work. However, obviously, with my course, I haven't done I've done no pay ads, I've done nothing. But I know that when I first joined your group, I put in the group chat that I was going to open in, I don't know, I think it was 14 days. I said my course, and people were like, "Just take it easy. You sure you can open in 14 days?" And I think I just went through all your courses and just thought I can do this, and I opened straight away. And yeah, we got over 50 grand straight away. And I feel my ambition next year is to have, I need a video sales letter, which we talked about. I need to really create a proper funnel at the minute. And I need to go on other podcasts, like maybe property investment podcasts and I don't know, some kind of entrepreneurs podcast as well in the UK, where I can show how good self-storage is, because obviously we live it and breathe it, and I document it in my newsletter. And so I do have ambitions to scale it to 500. My real ambition is to get to £1 million next year, which I've done the maths, and I know how much I need to increase the audience by, etc. So that's whether I get there or not. That's the ambition shot next year.
Yeah, you've moved very fast. I have the email up, when you applied to my program back in February. You said, I get asked all the time if I do consulting, but until now I don't. I finally realized it would be silly not to offer a course. So I put it out on my channels that I will have a course released by 1st of March, right? And you're just applying to my program in February. And then you said, Don't worry, buddy, I'm a doer and we'll get it done. I have the course mapped out, but struggling with the structure, etc. And man, you did it. You did it. And you've been very successful so far. What made you feel like you needed, I guess, some outside help? You said you're a doer, right? You don't think you could have done this on your own?
And I'm a massive advocate for mentors and finding people who have been there and done there before, because why wouldn't you get the advice of somebody else who has seen all the tripwires, all the hazards, and learn from them as well? So many years ago, I couldn't afford to pay much for mentors and masterminds. And every single year I paid a little bit more. And I listened to a heck of a lot of podcasts and stuff. And I've known, obviously, you from afar from the masterminds we was in together. And I knew that your success with people, and also you seem like a real genuine guy as well, and likability. So I thought, right, okay. And I follow other people who create courses, and I thought, all right, that's it. I'm going to apply, because it's almost like a shortcut. And and I'm not just saying because I've said this to you privately, thanked you privately. All I did was literally do what you said. The templates that you have for Kajabi and stuff, I just plugged it, played it. The sales letter, I just switched out what you had for my stuff, and it genuinely worked like a dream. It was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, publicly, thank you, Jacques. Thank you so much for your guidance. It's been brilliant.
So Dean, I mean, thank you so much for the kind words. That's very generous of you to share. And you've obviously been extremely successful here. In my program, not everybody's successful, right? I'll be completely honest about that. And you're saying how easy it is. Like you just plug it in, it all works, right? It was easy for you. Why do you think that it's not as easy for everybody, even the ones that are in this same exact program as you?
Yeah, so, sorry. When I say it's easy, I do think there's a roadmap there. So if you follow it, you can do it. But I knew that it was something I wanted to do. And so every evening I was working till 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And because I give myself a deadline. If I don't give myself a deadline, then I won't do it. If there's a deadline of next week, I will almost do nothing else other than that. And, but I'm also in a very, very lucky position where my business day to day doesn't need me. I'm just kind of a person who steers the ship in the right direction. And the other people, very fortunate, answer the phones and deal with customers. So I have got the time to do it during the day. So I know I'm in a very fortunate position there. But also, sometimes you have to put yourself out. I tell my kids that if you want something, you've got to go for it, and you've got to put yourself out. And it's okay to put yourself out. It's like life's are like seasons. Sometimes there's a season for working, sometimes there's a season for family, sometimes there's a season for fitness, and you've got to understand what season you're in. And I don't mind sacrificing. Like I genuinely enjoy going for runs most days, but it meant during that period, I think it was 2 weeks or 10 days that I literally almost was in recording in my office, and I still I take the kids to school every day. It's one thing I love doing, and I used to make them breakfast, take the kids to school, and then that was it. I was working until tea time, have my tea, come back in to my office and work again till 12, 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, and get back up at 6 a.m. in the morning to make sure it was done. So I think there's an element of dedication as well, but you've got to see the end goal. And if you know where you want to go and how long you've given yourself to do it, and you've got a level of accountability, like, because I told my audience, my 300 audience, so it wasn't massive, that I was going to do something, then I would hate to let them down and let me down. And I just tried to do as best as I possibly could do in that time frame.
That's amazing. I love what you said about the seasonality, right? Because it sounds like you have a very, very strong work ethic, and that's one of the things you attribute to the success that you had. But it's not necessarily about grinding 24/7 every day, every week, every month, every year. But you set deadlines and you work toward those deadlines, and it's clearly paid off for you. I want to jump.
It's like, so I was it's like, I think about a lot like yourself as well, where family is so important to me. And I every kids' holiday, I take off all the kids' holidays because I know we've only got like 16 or 18 summers with the kids. And soon I've got a 10-year-old and 8-year-old, and soon they are not going to want to spend any time with me. So when they do, I want to make sure I'm there, and me and the wife actually get on most of the time as well. So that's good. So I like to take holidays, and we like to go away as much as possible. And I feel very fortunate we can give them the experiences. And I think it comes from the fact that when I was a kid, my dad was always working because he wanted to deliver the best lifestyle for us. And he'd give us an amazing lifestyle. But the trouble is, he wasn't there as much in the early stages. And then so I think, and by the way, me and my dad's got an amazing relationship. I think he gave me the foundation to do what I did with a betting shop, and then he invested in the self-storage as well. And so I think that's given me the awareness to think, okay, it's not all about work and money. There's got to be two sides to the coin. And yeah, when the kids are off, I try to make sure that obviously I still do the newsletter and stuff, which maybe takes me half an hour a day. But I try to make sure I take off as much time as possible when I can do.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the newsletter. You just mentioned it again. I thought I heard earlier you say a daily newsletter, and I didn't know if you misspoke. And now I'm getting the feeling that it's actually a daily newsletter. Do I have that right?
Well, yeah, it's Monday to Friday, so it comes in a few sections. So the section number one, so on Mondays it's all about the previous week's results. It tells you about the revenue conversions for every single site where you can't. There's no way people are stupid enough to give this information away. And then on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, there's a section where it says self-storage news, which there's a real simple hack for that. You just go to Google Alerts, and Google Alerts will tell you everything you need to know about a certain subject. So I just have alerts set up for anybody who mentions self-storage England, self-storage UK, self-storage acquisitions, and I have all these alerts set up, and I just give 3 news stories a day. I give my previous day's results, and then I write, and by the way, my VA does all that side of it because she gets the previous day's results sent to her in the Philippines. And then all I've got to do is write down the self-storage tip or business tip. And because I listen to that many podcasts and that many masterminds with businesses, I enjoy doing that. And then not only that, though, I can repurpose that on LinkedIn. I can repurpose that on my YouTube, and then I can repurpose that on the podcast as well. And all I do, I drop my kids off on a Monday and I go down to the local Starbucks, have a cappuccino, and I sit there for 2 hours and I write the whole week's worth of stuff. And that it only takes me 2 hours, but I quite enjoy it. It's a nice walk. I'm back home by midday and have lunch with the wife. So yeah, it's good.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. So you start the podcast about 5 years ago, and you start the newsletter about 18 months ago.
Yep.
When you started the newsletter, did you even have an email list at that point?
No, nothing. No, I just put it on LinkedIn saying I'm going to start a daily newsletter, and mentioned it on the podcast because I don't know if you listened to, but I listened to My First Million, and Sean Perry created the Milk Road, and it was so fascinating, and he broke it down exactly step by step how he did it. And obviously in my niche, it's not exactly the same as crypto, which his was. But I thought there's something here because people trust me because I'm in their ears with a podcast, and then if I actually can talk to them through a newsletter as well, the more touch points I get with people, then the more that the more. I mean, ultimately, what I was doing it for first of all was when I buy self storage, the parts for self storage like the containers, etc. I get preferential treatments, I get better prices, and I get better payment terms. And so that was really the only reason why I was doing it, because it helped my cash flow. Because even though we're making really, really good profits, there's a massive difference between profits and cash flow. Profits are really, really good. Cash flow is really, really shocking. And because we're expanding all the time, there's capital expenses. And so if I can delay payment terms a little bit, that was a real reason why I did the newsletter. And I heard Sean Perry do it. And so I thought, I wonder if I can do something similar. And so a couple of my friends did it as well. And they've all got bigger newsletters than me by a million miles. But I've earned the most revenue about it because I've niched down.
So how big is your email list today?
702. I've just checked.
702. So you've made 6 figures in course sales, and you're sitting at 702, and you're about to do another launch, right?
Yeah. So with my last launch was in July, and at that point we had like 514, and so that's when the £107,000 came from. Just over 300 in March, and then in July it was just over the 500 mark, and then now we've got 702, and so I don't know how many of them new subscribers will buy. My course is for sale at £2,500, and I'm hoping to sell 10. But I know that there's so much more I can do because my YouTube channel is just repurposing my podcast. So that's rubbish. My LinkedIn, I can definitely do. I can repurpose my self-storage tip and business tip on LinkedIn more than I do. And then I can go on other people's podcasts in the UK. I always get people ask me to go on their podcasts regarding commercial properties, because commercial properties, they're selling space, just as we're selling space. It's just it's a vertical. And so I feel like there's a certain synergy there. So I can definitely get another podcast, and then there's paid media as well, which I can do, and I can increase my YouTube channel. So I think I can get better. I know the results are pretty good compared to the mailing list I had, but I definitely want to increase it next year.
Yeah, I mean, with the email list that small and such a high conversion rate, I mean, you've done incredible results. Imagine if you 10x your email list or even more. Theoretically, the results of the course sales will 10x as well.
Yeah, and people keep asking me for a mastermind as well. And so I think I've had in the last probably month, I reckon I've had 4 people. I know people, when they say they're going to ask for something, they don't always do it, but it's something I've definitely considered as well. Like I said, I'm in really well. I'm an expensive mastermind. I don't know if it's how high level it is, but I like it. But it's an expensive one, and so I know that. We're good at what we do. We are, because I spend so much time listening and learning to people. And I'm in masterminds for self-storage from America as well. And so I know that I can get people's results, if I did a mastermind. But the problem I don't like, Jacques, I like white space. I like to be able to go for a walk in the morning. I like a 2-hour walk in the morning to listen to my podcast and my books. I like to be able to take the kids to school. And so I just don't know if a mastermind where I've got to be at a certain place at a certain time for, every 2 days a month or something. So it's something that I'm toying with, and maybe I should just try it for 6 months and see if I like it. Because I do genuinely enjoy helping people and liking people, I like talking to people. But if I can increase their business as well, then it would get that feel good factor as well. And I know most independents in the UK don't know how to run a self-storage optimally. Like we just put in another section in the course. We actually bought another self-storage company, and I know this isn't about self-storage, but we 14 times profit in the space of just over a year, and we more than trebled the revenue. And it's just, I felt really sorry for this couple, because I bought it for 90,000, but I only paid 45,000 up front, and there was 25,000 in the bank. So I literally paid £20,000 for the business, and then the rest was paid over 2 years. And there was a real nice elderly couple, just didn't understand the concept of self-storage and how to maximize the revenue. And fast forward now, we could sell that business for over 500,000, and they basically got 20,000 up front and 25,000 that I paid them for their own business. And I just feel so sorry for them, because they worked there for 15 years. And if they had just tweaked little things, it'll have massively changed their outcome, and they could have, retired in a bigger luxury than what they've got now. So if I can help people do that, then it mean a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. You're considering doing some sort of mastermind. I think that the best thing to do is try it and see if it works for you, because ultimately we want to provide programs that, work for our clients and get them results, but long term, it's got to work for us as well. So if you can kind of dip your toe in the water with something that's got an end date, you mentioned possibly trying it for 6 months. That can work really well, and you can decide, hey, this is actually amazing, or I probably don't want to do this again. The program that you're in of mine now, it's a 12-month program, but it started a few years ago as a 3-month, way more intensive thing. It was I called it the course boot camp, and we met every week for a couple of hours, and we spent a lot of time together, and it was great, but it wasn't something I wanted to do long term. And so I took the lessons from that, and you see that result in the program that you're in now, because the way it works now works a lot better for me, and it still works for my clients too, right? So just kind of trying something and tweaking it. You're never going to be able to put the perfect program out there the first time. You're going to learn from it and iterate. But I would ask you, Dean, why do you even want to do that when you already have, what you're offering is kind of a high ticket program already, £2,500. Are people getting results? Like, what would you want to accomplish in a mastermind you're not able to accomplish with your offer currently?
Yeah. So just something you said when you said it works better for you. I thanked you when we got on this course, and thanks for all you've done for me. And you goes, well, I don't really feel like I've done a lot, but you don't realize what you've done, because you pre-recorded it all, and all I did was I just went through it. So you did loads, but you didn't know you did loads, and so that I found that really interesting when you said you didn't really. Well, I didn't really do a lot, but you did, because you packaged all your knowledge and expertise from all the years into something that then I could plug into my brain and then I could plug it in? Yeah, it's a really good question. I don't really know what, I feel like that if I can keep people accountable, I can get them better results. I suppose my course at the minute is aimed towards people who want to get into self-storage. And that's what it's really aimed at, how to find a self-storage, what to look for, what's a good position, then how to set up a self-storage, what are the step-by-step instructions to set up a self-storage, because there's a lot that it's okay once it's up and running, but it's really there's a lot of moving parts to actually set up a self-storage. We don't really go into how to maximize the revenue and the conversions of your website. For example, a website, if it gets 100 visitors, you should get 20 quotes. 20% of your website visitors should get 20 quotes. And then you should be converting 20 quotes at 25%. And there's a step-by-step guide that I look at how to do that, but we don't really talk about too much. We flirt with that idea on the course, but we don't really go too much into it because it's really aimed at the people who want to start a self-storage business. And I know that the next follow-on step would be, okay, how do we run a self-storage? What do we do? What's the sales process? Because we've got a dialed-in sales process now where it's took us years and years and years to get this process where we're converting a lot better than most independents, but it's only because we've tried so many different things that didn't work, and we've stumbled across something that works. And so I know that I can get people results on that side as well. I suppose another reason is definitely as well, I want to, so we've got 7 sites now. My aim by the end of next year, we're about to get our 7th site, is to have 15 sites. But to get 15 sites, I do need a lot of cash flow, and the banks will only support you to a certain degree because of the level of profit that you've got. And I saw this as a way to, because me and the wife, we don't need an amazing amount of money to live. We're quite happy with what we do. So all the course sales, none of it went, well, actually, I tell a lie. We bought a pagoda and a real nice fire pit kind of thing. And I spent $7,000 out of $100,000 on it. But the rest of it went back into the business. So we don't need loads. But I think that it's like a flywheel. I can earn money from the course or the mastermind, and I can put it into the business, which will create more content as well. And people will see the content because I'm creating more actual real-time content about opening a self-storage facility. So it's kind of like a flywheel. And my big mentor, Dan Bradbury, you probably won't have heard of him in the UK. I'm in his mastermind, and he has different stages. So he has a level 1, level 2, and then he has the mastermind, and then he has a personal one-on-one that he has after that as well. So I guess it's almost mimicking what you see. But do you know what? I'm actually going to think about that, Jacques, because what is the point? What is the reason? And I don't really have a good answer to you, apart from that I was going to support the growth of a business, the real business. Not that course isn't a real business, but...
Yeah, look, I understand. I mean, it reminds me of my business where there's very distinct 2 types of people that need help. It's people that are more on the beginner side, looking to get things set up kind of for the first time. And that's my Genesis program that you're in. And then there's also people that have established course businesses already that are looking to make it better. They're looking to scale, they're looking to outsource, they're looking to automate, make systems. And that's my next level coaching program. And so if you have an audience where you've got people looking to start self-storage for the first time versus people looking to that are already in the business and looking to get better, that could certainly be 2 different programs. But it doesn't, it sounds like you don't want to spend a lot of your live time. So you gotta work out what that offer looks like and make sure it ultimately works for you. Hey, it's Jacques jumping in here real quick with an important message for anyone still working on getting their course business off the ground. If you've been trying to go at it alone, but haven't seen the results that you want, consider joining Genesis Courses. It's my step-by-step program designed to help people build their course business the right way. You'll get detailed training, support, and all the tools you need to launch and grow your course successfully. If you're ready to turn your idea into a profitable online course, head over to oc.show/Genesis to learn more and apply. All right, let's get back to the conversation with Dean.
So would you almost have 2 different courses then, instead of maybe the mastermind? Would you have like how to set up a self-storage and then maybe how to manage and run and maximize the self-storage as well.
Yes. If that is what your audience, like if that is the breakdown of your audience, right?
Yeah.
So
100%,
of the 700 people on your email list, do you have an understanding of who these people are? Are they mostly people looking to start? Or I imagine a lot of people that already own self-storage businesses are on your list.
Yeah, exactly that. So we do have a lot of people that's already on the list who have a self-storage and work in self-storage who would definitely. I've just it's just all of a sudden come to me. I'm thinking, yeah, obviously people want to maximize the revenue, because that's one thing we are good at. We are getting one of the metrics we use is price per square foot. How much revenue are you taking compared to how much square foot you've got available? And there's a report every year that comes out, and that from normal existing operators, and we are doing extremely well compared to other operators. So yeah, we could certainly do a course like how we maximize our revenue and maximize our square foot as well, and the sales process. Ultimately, how to run a self-storage once it's open.
Yeah, and look, you can even charge even more for something like that.
Yeah, would you say you can actually charge more than 2,500 then for something like that?
If you're able to sell what you're selling for 2,500, you're selling a dream for somebody that it's something that doesn't exist yet, right? Now it's a very powerful dream outcome. You're teaching them to set up a real profitable business, but it's a different demographic when they already own the business, already running the business, and want to make it better and more profitable. Somebody's willing to invest more to make something they have better versus to create something from scratch.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you know what? It depending on what level of revenue we're at, we could definitely increase. And maybe I could do something like you, where I have an application process because I definitely don't want to take any money off somebody who I couldn't help. And that's why we do a money back guarantee, a full money back guarantee. So we try to make it as no brainer as possible, because ultimately self-storage might not be for you as well. And so I say, look, come in the course. If you like it, if you want to maybe go into self-storage, then by all means, you can pay for the course and keep the course. If you don't like what you see, by all means, take a refund, and we'll within 30 days, we'll give you your money back. And I suppose maybe I could do would you recommend an application process at all? Or is that more for memberships?
No, you could do the application if you get higher than 2,500. It sounds like you're able to sell at 2,500 without the application. Sounds like that's worked well, but it just kind of depends on how high up you go. Once again, you got to try it. You got to figure out what's going to work for you and your audience. But yeah, potentially, one of the reasons we have an application is because we work with people individually so much. We're on calls, we're interacting with people so much, so we want to make sure it's a good fit. Somebody we want to be hanging out with, and that we know we can help, right? So it's not just about the funnel itself and maximizing conversions. That's part of it, but we're also vetting, right? But if you're signing up people that it's mostly just a passive course, and you're not hanging out with them much and working with them individually much, then not necessarily. And that brings me to your offer. Like, as it stands now, they get the course. What else do they get? Do they get any interaction with you?
No. So when we've released the course twice now, the first time I released it, I had members contacting me all the time, and it was a lot of hard work. Because obviously I wanted to help them, I wanted to serve them, but I thought I didn't sign up for be on beck and call of them all the time. Dean, can I have 15 minutes? Dean, can I have half an hour? Dean, can we do it? Dean, can you do a feasibility study, where a feasibility study can cost anywhere up to £5,000? Can you have a look at this for me? And then I kept on doing it because I wanted to help people. And I thought, right, I need to change something in the second launch, because I don't want to be, I don't really want to be selling my time. It's not worth my time, because I've got to run my actual business. And so I thought, right, I need to make sure that, that in the second course launch, I do something different. So and by the way, I didn't know anything about upsells and downsells. And so I thought, right, do you know what? It was probably half an hour before my course went live. I read or listened or learned somewhere about an upsell and downsell. I was like, right, I need to do that. And so I thought, perfect, I can sell my time. And I put, because I get people asking me for an hourly rate and stuff. And I just say, oh, it's not something I actually do. And so I thought, right, I'll sell my time for I'll say it's $7.50 an hour, and I'll sell it for $3.75, and I will hope nobody books. But The purpose of that was to make sure that, listen, I'm selling my time my time for money. So if you've got any questions, then it's kind of setting the tone. And I don't mean that like, I don't want to come across like I don't want to help people, but I do, but I've got a proper business to run as well. And that's more of a one-on-one, a mastermind. I'd charge a little bit more for that if I was going to do something like that, but it's not something I really wanted to do. And 2 people bought it. So I think it was like just under 10%, but it meant that nobody else. And by the way, the 2 people who bought it still haven't used it, which I keep emailing them and saying, look, I feel weird that I've taken your money. Do you want to have it now? Do you want to have it later? And they said that they want to have it later when they find a site and set up a site. I'm like, honestly, it's yours whenever you want it, but just please don't feel weird about asking for it. And since then, nobody has asked for any of my time or anything during the next launch, which was the purpose of it. But then now I'm checking in with people saying, hi, how's it going? Have you found anything yet? Have you enjoyed the course? And I'm still, even with the iteration number 1, I call it self-storage secrets 1.0 and 2.0. So I'm still serving a lot of people in the self-storage 1.0 because I've almost set the tone and set what's allowed. And so everybody's just asking questions. I've got my personal mobile number, which I don't even remember giving my personal number out. And so everybody seems to have it. And I get WhatsApps all the time. So I'm inundated with people asking questions. That's why I thought I could do a mastermind as well, because it maybe save other questions.
Really interesting.
And it's not like I genuinely do want to help people, but I just don't want to just talk. I haven't got the time to be able to help people. I want that everybody asks me questions.
You mentioned the money back guarantee that you offer. Have people taken you up on that?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit higher than normal. It was just over 6% in my first launch and just under 6% in my second launch. So there have been people who, and I don't know where this number's come from, but I wanted it under 5%. And so I thought it was a little bit high. And every time I got that email from somebody, I was on holiday with my dad at the time. And I remember talking to mum and dad, and all of a sudden I just checked my emails while I was getting served. And I was like, my first person asked for money back, £2,500. I was like, oh no, I didn't expect it. And honestly, I said, yeah, honestly, please, can I have a call with you? Can I figure out? But I give them the money back first of all, because I didn't want them to think that I was trying to talk them round, because it's not the money that's important. It's to find out what I'd done wrong. And every single person was just saying, no, it's just not the right time. It's a different business than I thought it was. I love the course. And I was like, and so no, but I'd rather them just say, no, do you know what? I didn't like it because of this, and this, and this, and give me some feedback, because I wouldn't take it offensively. I'd take it as a right. That's where I need to improve. I know I can improve. And so I've tried to speak to every single person who asks for a refund, but nobody's given me any tangible feedback that I can actually use. And so I don't know the reason. I know it's an expensive one, so maybe people are dipping the toe in and seeing if it's for them. Or, interestingly, every single person who's asked for the money back has taken over 90% of the course. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a thing or not. And so I don't know where to go on that, Jacques.
It's hard. You've got to try to not take it personally. It's very, very hard, though, because we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this amazing thing. It's our baby. And they raised their hand and they gave us $2,500 for it. And it's amazing. And then they see it, they get on the inside of the experience, and then they want their money back. It's like, oh, what did I do wrong? You know what? It's so hard to take it personally, to not take it personally. Completely understand that sentiment. But it's going to be so hard to please everybody. And you don't truly know everybody's motivation for signing up. Some people might sign up wanting to see the inside, knowing they can get their money back, because it is a large investment. Now, This is not a magic pill, but I would ask you this: Are you sending Bonjoro videos or any sort of personal welcome when they sign up?
Yeah, exactly the same reason why you do it. When we was members of Pat Flynn's, or we still are, Power Up Podcasting, Pat Flynn sent me a Bonjoro. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And do you know what? We send Bonjoros in our self-storage business as well. And we get probably 150 people move in every single month. And the managers hate it, sending a Bonjoro. But I think it's so crucial to set that tone. And and that you feel like you mean something to the company. But not only that, we do welcome packs as well for people moving in self-storage. Like we have water, we have a fizzy drink for you, we have an energy bar because you're physically moving stuff in. And so I'm trying to think of something, what I can send and what I can do to people who have bought the course, because it is a big investment, and I want to send them something, but I don't know what I can send them. But yeah, I do send bonjours because I get the reply saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you sent me a personal message," and it's really good.
That's great. I'm so glad you're doing that already. We had the same experience when you mentioned that you were also in Power Podcasting. I did want to ask you that because that was my first experience with Bonjoro, and I had the same reaction. Like, holy smokes, Pat Flynn sent me a personal video. And, my name's not very common. And he said, "Hey, Jacques, welcome to the course, all this." I'm like, so I knew it wasn't just some kind of canned automated thing. And I've been doing Bonjoros myself ever since. And it was really powerful for me because I actually didn't love that course, or better said, it wasn't exactly for me because I had already launched my podcast and I was just looking to improve it. And his course was more for people launching their podcast. And so I really wanted to get a refund. And I was like, he sent me a personal message. Like, I can't ask for a refund. He reached out to me personally. So like, that was literally the reason I didn't ask for a refund. And that was so powerful for me. And so impactful that I've been doing it ever since for my Piano in 21 Days students and for my OCG students as well. I'm glad to hear you're doing it too.
Yeah. How did you find the second course on podcasting? Was it the fair?
Amped up something?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
But to be fair, that I before this I did, because when I sold my betting shop, that's what I started with. When I just again followed this whole process, and I didn't start a self-storage podcast. I started a podcast in betting because I missed my gambling, I missed my betting for people, and set it up, and we got over 1 million downloads. I think it was like 30,000 downloads every single week we got from a podcast. But it was gambling and tips and stuff. And, I was having my first baby at the time. And I thought, because when you give out a bad tip and you're not going to win all the time, I used to get death threats and saying they're going to burn my house down and stuff. And I thought, do you know what? If I'm getting £30,000 a week, 30,000 downloads a week, there is going to be one person in there that's a nutter that will find out where I live. And I just thought it isn't worth it. And so I stopped doing it. And that's why I started the self-storage podcast.
Wow. That's wild. That's crazy. Look, take me back to the first course launch earlier this year.
Yeah.
You had the podcast, you had the newsletter, you had built up at that, when you first launched, you had about 300 people in the newsletter. You signed up for my program. Talk me through that launch, like the last few hours, getting everything ready, and what your expectations were for when it was going live.
Oh, it was absolutely horrible. I was so stressed. I was actually going on another mastermind as well to Marbella. First time I was actually leaving my wife and kids, and I was going with my cousin, was going to this mastermind in Marbella, and I think I got it all ready 5 minutes before, and there was things that I wasn't happy with. I just thought, do you know what? There's always a reason not to launch. There's always a reason not to do something if you want to look for it. And I thought, do you know what? I think one of the sections as well, I did put coming next Monday. So one of the final areas. And so I didn't get everything ready perfectly on time. But I didn't know where to look for my money. And, I thought that I'd get an email from Stripe. And so me and the wife went out for lunch. I was checking my emails because I think I got one for I think it was $750. I think it was. I think it was $750 or something we was doing 3 monthly payments, and, it was £2,000 was that launch. So I was saying that, look, this is going to be a £3,000 course. You do get £1,000 saving. And I got an email from Stripe saying I got one payment for $750. And that was after like 10 minutes. I was like, brilliant. This is fantastic. And I was bouncing to school with the wife, with the kids. And then me and the wife went out for lunch because I was leaving to go on an airplane. And, I was refreshing, thinking, hang about a minute, there's nothing, there's nothing else. And I thought, I'm going to log into Kajabi. I think there's something wrong. I logged into Kajabi and there was like 24 grand in there. I was like, what? This is mental. And honestly, if I want driving to the airport, I would have got a bottle of wine. I was over the moon. I was like, Claire, I can't believe it. 24 grand. This is easy. I can't believe it. And I was going to message you, say, Jack, this is brilliant. And obviously the sales slowed down and then they went up on the last day because I did all them emails we're supposed to do. But my second launch was a little bit different because I opened it and crickets, nothing on the first day. And I was checking Kajabi, I was checking Stripe, and I was like, there's no money, there's nobody. And it was my son's sports day at the time. And I remember just refreshing my phone every couple of minutes. I was like, this is, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. And so I actually bought the course myself. So paid the Stripe money just to see if it's working. And I was like, there's definitely something wrong. There's no way it's working. And then ping, £2,495. I was like, oh no, it's working. It was a one-hit wonder. They don't want it. And I think I was open for 5 days. And I think I got 1 or 2 during the week. And the last day, I sold over £30,000 worth of stuff for whatever reason. The last day was just incredible. So much better than any other day by X amount of multiple. But so yeah, the first day I ever launched the course, the first time, it was really good I think 40% of my sales courses were on the first day, some round figures. 20% was during the next few days. And then 40% was on my last day. Whereas this time it was like 80% of my last one was course launch number 2. 80% was on the last day. And so I don't know. And by the way, I'm on Beehive and my email provider they wouldn't let me send another email out because I was about to send a going, gone email and they flagged it as spam. And they said, you've been blocked for sending too many emails out. And I did. Do you know what? I did get a bit upset because some of my some of my people I know personally on the newsletter message me and says, Dean, you're coming across real salesy now. Don't do any more. You're better than this. And I'm like, wait a second. I give you free content 5 days a week on a podcast. I give you for the last 18 months, I've been giving you a newsletter, for complete free. And for 10 days out of those 18 months, I've emailed you saying I'm selling the course. And so I genuinely had to look at myself and think, right, did I have a point? Or have I just made them expect me just to give free content, and then there's a backlash when I sell something. And I actually did look at it objectively, and I thought, you know what? I don't think I've done anything wrong. I'm paying for all the servers, for hosting, for the VA to do my podcast. And all I'm asking is you lot keep asking questions. I boxed it in a course. And I thought, do you know what? I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. If you don't want the course, that's absolutely fine. I don't expect it. But I did say for the next 5 days, I am going to sell to you because I've created something that I think is amazing that can genuinely help people. And so I'm going to sell it. And so I had to really question myself because it sounds stupid, but it genuinely hurt because I didn't want everyone to think that, oh, look at the sellout. He was trying to do this all along. He was creating an audience just to sell to us, which wasn't the case whatsoever. And by the way, even if it was, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just wasn't something that I did. And so, yeah, I had to question myself and think, am I doing anything wrong here?
I'm so glad you shared that, Dean. I agree. It doesn't sound like you're doing anything wrong. It's easy to hear from one person and think that everybody's thinking that way, right? But everybody's so different and everybody's going to have their opinions. And I love that you took a step back and really analyzed it and determined, no, I'm good here. You've just been sending out so much free content for so long, and now you actually have something to sell. You're going to monetize this thing, and that's obviously okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this:
sorry, go on.
No, please go ahead, and then I'll ask my question.
Yeah, so one of these people as well, I really, really respect him because he's done so well in multiple businesses, but he's a different level to me. £100 million of him is next to nothing. He's very, very, very wealthy, very, very well respected, but I have to hustle a little bit to earn my money. He's been there, done it, and he's where most people want to be. He's far, I can't even see him in the distance. He's that far ahead of me. And so for him to criticize, which he, by the way, it was the best intentions because we have a really good relationship. He was meaning the best, but he was just seeing it through a different lens because his lens and my lens are completely different. And he couldn't see where I was coming from because of his situation, because he can't imagine that people, £2,000 matters to people like me. It doesn't matter to him. It's like a drop in the ocean. He lives in Monaco. He's got, apartment overlooking where they do the racing and stuff. So money to him doesn't mean anything, where it massively does for me. I've got a young family. I want to do the best for them. I want to provide the best life. And so one of the reasons I took a step back and really analysed it and looked at it was because he's in a completely different situation, and I respect his position and I respect the fact he was genuinely trying to look out for me. But on this occasion, I do think that, yes, he's right from his standpoint, but he's wrong through my eyes.
I think the results speak for themselves as well. How do you're sending a newsletter email Monday through Friday every day. Do you just kind of pause that when you're going through a launch?
No, I didn't know really what to do. And so at the top part, normally I have a bit of a welcome section where I tell you what I've been doing. Like today, I was saying that I've on the way down to London today. So I just tell them a little bit about my life, just to try and, just a few lines or a paragraph, just to try and get people to know me rather than just the numbers behind the business. And so in that section, all I have is a section which sends them to a sales page. I don't have a VSL. I don't have a clever sales funnel. I just have a section saying, by the way, everyone, my course is live. Go and get it. It's amazing. And then I had a real clever way of getting testimonials as well, which so over 80% of people who took my course actually give me a testimonial. So I just had a section where I said, look at these testimonials from people who went through the course last time. Look at everybody. I've got videos. And so one day I did a video of people giving me video testimonials. And the other day I would mention the actual written testimonials. And I would also, my self-storage tip would be weaved in to part of the course as well, where I have these 10 ways of looking for a self-storage site, a list of 10, and say, want to know more about them? Buy my course. And I try to make a joke of it, saying, buy my, because I'm, just make a joke about it, saying, buy my course, here it is, here's the link. And it just goes straight to a sales page.
Did you say 80% of people that have taken your course have given you a testimonial?
Yes. Yep.
How?
Yep. And I don't know if you know a guy called Matt McGarry, the newsletter guy. So he was the brains behind the Milk Road, although Sean Perry publicly said he wasn't. They've had a little bit of a spat on the podcast and stuff. He's got a podcast. So if you just Google Matt McGarry, I've signed up to his course about newsletters. You know me, Jacques, and courses. I spend over £100,000 a year on courses and stuff, and I love it. And so when he launched a course about newsletters, I was one of the first people to sign up. And then he's done version 2 now, and he sent an email, and I'm paraphrasing, but it basically was, and I can send you it because it works unbelievably well. He says, congratulations on buying version 1. As a special thank you to you for buying version 1, I am going to give you full access to version 2. And there are some improvements to version 2, which there are to my course as well. All you have to do to get access to this is click this link and leave a testimonial. That is it. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll do it. Yeah, I want access. So I give him a testimonial, and it was a genuine testimonial as well, because I'd done I'd earned a lot of money from my newsletter. And so all I did was sent that out once to people. Didn't even, because he sent it out 3 times. I got it 3 times, even though I did it on the first email. He did it 3 times, and I think it was like 81% of people did me review. So I'd use the same platform. I think it's Senja that he uses, and it was incredible. People just said, "Yeah, there you go, Dean, I've done it." And so I duplicated it in Kajabi, and then just give them access to it. I got my VA to give them access to it, and it worked seamlessly well. And so the next couple of days, I'm sending out that same email to my list again, and I'll probably send it 2 or 3 times, well, probably twice, but only to people, because it's obviously not a massive, for £2,500, you'd have to sell a lot of courses. So I'll just take the people out who leave me a review, and I'll try to get as many people as possible to do a testimonial. And I really, because I first launched a course with no testimonials, which is a problem, but we still did really, really well. The second time I launched a course, obviously the testimonials massively help sell it. And it makes you feel good as well, because even though you're almost asking for the testimonials in a way to get something, you could tell that the testimonials were proper, because they weren't just like, this is a good course. They went into really big detail and was a couple of paragraphs. And that was the first time I'd ever asked for any feedback from them. So yeah, with that, it really worked well. And also it gave me a little boost as well, thinking, do you know what? They do actually like the course, because obviously like 7% of people ask for a refund. I thought, oh yeah, it does make me feel good. It makes me feel good, the fact that it is hitting home with people and they do like it.
Let's talk about tools, Dean. You've mentioned Kajabi. You've mentioned a couple of other little things. Like, what tools are essential for running your business, your online course business?
So not a lot really. I have Kajabi. I don't have Deadline Funnel yet, because I don't have any sort of funnel. I have Beehive for my newsletter, which I think is $99 a month, and I have Stripe. I think that's
pretty much it.
Yeah,
nice and simple.
Yeah, I'm not very good with tools, Jacques. I'm terrible with them, to be honest. So yeah, there's not a lot.
So
I don't even have a website. I have Card as well, CARRD for people. It's the worst landing page for a newsletter you've ever seen. Honestly, it is shocking. But people, it's just a real simple design, because I didn't know if people were going to do it. And to be honest, I should put more of an effort into it. But yeah, it's a really, really simple design that took me 2 minutes to do. And I think that cost a couple of quid, not very much anyway, less than $10. And yeah, that's how I capture people's emails.
Yeah, I mean, a card just makes you.
Sorry,
card just allows you to make simple, like, one-page websites. So why not just make that page in Kajabi?
I don't know. I must have missed that part of a training, Jacques. Do you know what I did? I went through the 80-20 principle and thought, right, okay, I know that there's going to be 20% of these that these lessons that you create that are going to be more impactful. So I watched them again. And I thought, right, they're the necessities. They're the ones I definitely need to create a course. And then the rest of them, I went through them when I could with time. But I probably flicked through that one and didn't really, and probably a lack of know-how as well. But I did actually buy the domain MrSelfStories.com as well. So, and that cost $2,500 to get. And then if you click on that, you'll see how horrendous for landing pages. And if I can get 7, I can see your face, Jacques.
I mean, it's like raining. Like, there's these lines going across the page. I mean, it's cool. A normal guy documenting his self-storage journey to a 9-figure exit. I mean,
because that's the idea. Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I'm going to sell out at some point, and the multiples are pretty big. So, yeah, I want that. That's the dream anyway.
It gets the job done, man. So, you know what tool you forgot to mention is Bonjoro.
Oh, I'm Bonjoro. Yeah, I'm Bonjoro.
Obviously, yeah. Bonjoro. So, Kajabi, I host the course, and you probably set up your order forms there. Why don't you send your emails through Kajabi?
I think it's because I was already set up with Beehive, and I think I've remembered you mentioned it before. That I could be wrong here, but I'm sure you've mentioned that you use other things and you didn't put all your emails through Kajabi, and so therefore, as soon as you said that, I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you started your newsletter 18 months ago and you didn't have Kajabi yet, right? So you had an email platform, and then it was just easy to just leave it there. Makes total sense. All right. Dean, this has been great, man. Incredible. Congratulations on all your success. What have we not touched on? Like, what advice do you have for other course creators that are listening to this? They're inspired by your story. They haven't gotten the results you've gotten. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I listened to this question that you asked that guy on the last episode, the yachting guy. I found that fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And if I was if I was 25 years younger, I would definitely, I feel like I've missed out because my sons, when they get old enough, I feel like that'd be a perfect lifestyle. Yeah, I just think that there's an element of self-doubt sometimes with people, and people that I must have had self-doubt so many times, and imposter syndrome as well. Even though I've built a business which is just hit the 7-figure profit mark, but I still had self-doubt all the time, thinking, yeah, but there's people who know more than me. There's people who are better than me in self-storage, which there 100% is, without a shadow of a doubt. But I don't think the same sort of people are relatable, because they might be 20 steps ahead of me, where I might be just one step ahead of somebody else. And that's the person that I can help. That person who's 20 steps ahead. Sometimes when I'm talking to some self-storage experts, I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm just nodding my head and pretending that I know. And I daren't say that I don't know, because I'm supposed to be, I've spoken around the world of self-storage. So I'm supposed to know this stuff. And they're just so far ahead of me. I can't relate to them. And so when I look for advice, like, I have a self-storage consultant, and I think he's just a couple of steps ahead of me, and I can relate to him and he can relate to me. And so I would honestly, the main thing is to get out your own way, because I feel like people trip themselves up because they start thinking they're not good enough. They have imposter syndrome, when I promise you out there, if you know a niche, or you know something, there's something out there you can always teach somebody else. And you not doing it is preventing that other person from learning. And I'm not just saying this, Jacques, I've said it to you a million times, but without your course, I wouldn't have even created this course or your membership. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And it literally is not literally is plug and play. Obviously, I've worked hard to get the course up and running for them 2 or 3 weeks. But it was non-stop for them 2 or 3 weeks, because I set myself a deadline. But there's all the templated information. It's so easy. And you go through the tech as well, because I'm somebody who finds it hard to follow things. And when you was just talking through exactly how to use things, it was so user friendly. It was easy, and even I can do it. And so I would say, if anyone's sitting on the fence, then 100% just give it a go. You've got literally nothing to lose, and don't let that inside. I always say to my kids, that inside voice is not your friend. When it says, don't go for a run, don't go to the gym, it's not your friend. It wants you to sit there on Netflix and do now. So you don't always have to listen to that inside voice, because it doesn't want the best for you. Just tell it to shut up and get moving forward.
Wise words from Dean Booty. That's amazing. Thank you so much for the kind words once again about my program. That's very, very generous. But it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. And I think you share some incredible wisdom for people. I think this would be a great episode. If somebody wants to learn more about you, start following you, like, so let's hear the different places. Like, tell me about the podcast, the website, anything you want to pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll be relevant to your audience, but I'll tell you one thing that was a passion project that I've stopped doing. I started it at the start of COVID, and it's called Motivated Entrepreneurs, and I did over 1,000 episodes. It was just for my kids. It was like it was little things in life that I found interesting, because obviously I listened to a lot of self-development and business advice, and it's little analogies like the toothpaste analogy, where, when you first get a new toothpaste, you're like, don't care how much you use on my toothbrush. And then towards the end, you're more and more careful all the time. And it's almost like that with money towards the end of a month and stuff. And so I do little analogies like that, and try to, because I'm quite a positive person. I think that you can always look at the good side and the bad side to life. And you get to choose which lens in the morning you put on, the negative lens or the positive lens. And so I'm going to start, I didn't just thought about, do you know what, I'm going to start doing it. I stopped doing it at the end of last year just because of time. But yeah, that was a daily podcast that I did. I've got over 1,000 episodes there, and I'm going to start doing that again. I did that just for my 2 sons, because I feel like, do you know what? I genuinely thought, oh my goodness, what if something happens to me and I've changed this much in the last 10 years and I don't have chance to influence their life at all? And that scared me to death because of COVID. It scared me to death. And so that's why I started that podcast. But yeah, in the self-storage, it's mrselfstorage.com, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, but could do more. So Dean Booty on LinkedIn. And what's
the name of the self-storage podcast?
Hacking Self-Storage, but it will be changed to Mr. Self-Storage, because it's not great.
Keeping the brand great.
Russell Brunson. I used to follow him a lot, and anything to do with hacking, like he was, funnel hacking and stuff. So I was like, hacking self-storage.
And then the name of the podcast you mentioned with the 1,000 episodes that you made for your kids, but you're going to pick back up again. What's that again?
Yeah, it's called Motivated Entrepreneurs. It was a 7-day-a-week episode, just for like 5 minutes a day.
Amazing. Maybe a little more relevant for this audience, but you never know. You never know. Maybe somebody wants to start a self-storage business. You do speak very highly of it. And one thing I didn't get to. I just want to clarify this. Like, your audience, is it worldwide or is it just in the UK?
No, just in the UK. One of the refunds was somebody from, I had one from America in the first one and one from France. And it's not really applicable because, I could create a course for the American audience because it's about 60% UK, on the podcast and 30% American, and then 10% the rest of the world. But there's better people. I've got no experience in America. And so there's miles better people out there for the American self-storage market. The principles are the same, but I can't get to the detail that other people can get to. So I did give 2 refunds because it wasn't applicable in their country. There's different planning regulations and stuff. So I just couldn't help them.
Sounds like you need to segment your audience based on location and then find affiliates to then promote and maximize the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dean, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me, Jacques. I really appreciate it.
Hey, big shout out to Dean for sharing his incredible success story. I love how he's using his online course business, not just to generate income, not just to make money, but to fuel the growth of his self-storage empire, all while balancing family life and personal priorities. We all have different whys, and I just love the way Dean is going about this. You can check out Dean's podcast, Hacking Self-Storage, or his daily newsletter that he talked about over at mrselfstorage.com. For the links and show notes from today's episode, you can head to oc.show/242. And if you're ready to start your own online course business just like Dean did and get the support you need every step of the way, then Genesis Courses is the perfect fit for you. It's designed to help you build, launch, and grow a profitable online course business with proven strategies and expert guidance. To learn more and to apply, head over to oc.show/Genesis today. Thanks again for listening, and don't forget to take action on what you've heard here today. I'm rooting for you.